Here we
Hey, you
go.
figured out how to record.
Well then, good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, and welcome to the Blurring the Lines podcast. This is episode 191. We're almost to 200. I am your host, Adam Bell, and joining me as always is my special co-host, Peter Nikolaidis. How you doing, Peter?
Woo! I'm a special co-host today.
Yeah, you're the best co-host ever.
Wow. I think that's probably true. I'm probably a better co-host than I am a host. I don't know. Maybe I'm a better host than a co-host. I can't tell.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, Adam, it's been a while.
It has been a while.
It has been a while.
Has been.
What have you been up to?
Well, I did not run a marathon.
Okay, that's oddly specific, but sure.
Well, I have probably gone a marathon in distance on my feet, but not all at once. So, but no, we were planting. So mid-April, we were planting. So we put in another 600 lavender plants, just a small little task. It's funny. We think 400 plants is just not a big deal anymore to put in.
Impressive.
Well, it'd be impressive if they all survive. We had a rough winter. We had a drought at the end in the fall when we planted, and then we had a really harsh winter where we had some times under freezing for 2 weeks straight, which was tough. Killed almost all those fall plants, so we got to plant them again. So, but it wasn't just us. So everybody had some troubles.
Well, misery loves company, right?
Oh yeah. So got that going. So that kept us busy, and spent time going back and forth, getting everything ready for the spring and mowing and trimming and all that fun stuff. So that kept us busy for the month. How about you?
My Aero Garden is blooming again.
You're going to have to pardon my ignorance. What's an Aero Garden?
An Aero Garden. I guess we have to, you know what? I'm going to skip ahead. This is my nifty. I thought we had covered this before. Aero Garden they sell various shapes and, various sizes. They're mostly the same shape. It's a little rectangular thing that grows. You can use as a miniature garden.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about the footprint size of a shoebox. The one I have is, but it can be, much taller. And they have little plant pods. So you buy these, they look sort of like golf tees or fancy tea bags that you might have gotten sometimes.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Show up like little triangular shape, but essentially they're little seed pods. There's like a little bit of dirt and the seeds in these things. And the Aero Garden itself is just a big basin of water with holes for the pods to go in. And you put in water, you put in plant food, and that it circulates the water. It keeps it running, so it's always fresh to a degree. And it has lights across the top, so it's like a baby miniature greenhouse. And you put those in, and within a few days, depending on the seeds, you might have little seedlings start to sprout.
Cool.
When I went away to Costa Rica, I had started, some of my lettuces had started to die off. And of course I was gone for a month. Came back, wiped them all out, started over again. And now I have like 3 or 4 heads of lettuce blooming. And so soon I'll have like 5 or 6 heads of lettuce, and I can just pluck a few leaves off every day and have a steady supply of fresh lettuce here in my house.
And as long as you don't defecate in it, you will not get E. coli from your lettuce.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
So how long does it take to grow a full-size pot plant in that?
I don't know. But if I wanted to, it would be perfectly legal here in the great state of Massachusetts. So.
It's still not legal here. You can barely grow hemp with no THC, but you can, but it's not worth the hassle.
It's not worth the hassle. So that's my nifty, an Aero Garden.
So what else?
Definitely check it out.
what else are you growing in there? You said you're growing lettuce.
Right now, just lettuce. When I
Okay.
first got it, when you buy it by default, they come with a little starter pack, and the one I got came with just a bunch of herbs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like parsley, thyme, dill, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Which is nice to have, but I made the mistake when I first got it of getting, the pods, they break them up into like low, medium, and tall, low,
Mm-hmm.
medium, and high. And the light is adjustable. So you can, adjust it as the
Okay.
plants start to get higher. Problem I had is I had dill, which is very leggy and it grows up
Mm-hmm.
very tall. So the dill was always hitting the top and getting burned by the lights that it was on all the
Mm-hmm.
time. Whereas the other stuff at the bottom was, never going to grow as tall. So this time I decided I was just going to do lettuces, which are all roughly the same height.
Yeah.
That said, one of them just like took off leaps and bounds ahead of the others.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already very tall and hitting the top, whereas the others are just barely starting to come out. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting creative, like pulling it out from under the light, so it has to do a little more with natural light, give a little more to the other guys, let its brothers have a little bit of sunlight and food too. So
Mm-hmm.
but it's cool. I like it. It's like, oh, I think I'm going to make a salad tonight. And I go and shave off a few leaves and, there you go. Food.
Cool. Well, and if you really want to get geeky, I'm just imagining putting a sensor on it with a spindle so that the sensor detects the plants, how far they grow, and then the light keeps going up as they grow. That would be really cool.
That, it makes me wonder if someone actually hasn't already done that. If Aero Garden doesn't have an advanced module that I don't have, maybe they sell one that does that. I don't know.
It's completely impractical, but for the hobbyist, I mean,
Yep.
it's right
Sounds
up our
like
alley
fun.
in geekdom, geek health.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So what else? What else is going on with Adam?
Well, so first, beginning of the month, middle of the month, we were doing the lavender, and then the end of the month, went fishing for a week.
Cool.
So a friend of mine, he's got property in Belize. So we went down to Belize and fished hard the whole week. There were no girls with us, no kids with us. So we got up at 4. Our job all week was to fish, and that's what we did.
We fished hard.
Well, yeah, because he's got property there and he has for years. But I mean, he's an avid fisherman. Kirk, you met him. We went. He's the guy that went to Bahamas.
Yes.
I was there fishing with him in the Bahamas, and but he's never had the time to just like dedicate to finding places to fish. And Belize has a wide, it's an entire country. It has all kinds of places you can fish. You can fish in the river, you can fish in the ocean, you can fish deep, you can fish bonefish and shallow. So, and the tarpon were running. So we were trying to catch tarpon and bonefish and permit and then anything else we could catch. We got some really big snook. I cooked that for dinner. That was tasty.
I like how you tell me that the Belize is a country. It's an entire country. It's like, thank you. Talk to me like I'm a American.
What state? Yeah. What state is the city of Belize?
What state is Belize in? There were plenty of people who would ask us if Vermont is in upstate New York. So yeah, I'm used to that.
Belize is an island continent, near the Indian Ocean on the south of Antarctica. Yep. You can find it right there.
South of Antarctica. Okay, good. Good. Wow, that's impressive. Oh man.
No, it is a fun country though, because it's got a lot of it's like here, there's a lot of, well, actually it's not as culturally diverse as here, but it does have some cultural diversity. So
okay.
the Garifuna, the Garifuna people were Africans who came over to Belize, and so there's a lot of African culture. There's the whole Dangriga. They have times that they have drum sessions and all of those fun things and cultural celebrations. But then there's also the Europeans who have been there too, because it used to be a British colony. It's an independent country, but it was a British colony until like the 80s. So there's a lot of British culture, and then a lot of European culture by, kind of by default. Wherever the British go, they're kind of friendly to the rest of the Europeans, and then they come over. And so there are a lot of former country people. They expatriate kind of makes it sound a little bit nicer, but they're just they're foreigners.
Former country people. Sounds like Garth Brooks after he changed, to hard rock or something. Former country people.
So there's a lot of U.S. money that's in there, houses and property, and actually right now there's a lot of Chinese money being invested in the country in government infrastructure, because the government's really kind of primitive, just kind of small. And of course we don't want big government, because we don't want big government all in our pocket for taxes and everything else. But without some level of government, you don't have police, you don't have emergency services, you don't have sewers, you don't have roads.
Roads are kind of nice. We like roads.
Well, the first time I went there in 2012, and the highway we took was not paved. It was a 2-lane highway that was really 1 lane, because you could only traverse 1 lane. And it took us an hour this time on a paved road to get from Belize City to the town of Hopkins, where normally it would take a half a day to traverse that over the dirt roads.
Okay.
So, I mean,
sounds like progress.
Yeah, that's a good use of tax dollars right there.
Got to put them somewhere, right? I mean, you could do schools, you could do schools, roads, good things. We like those.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Well, fishing in Belize.
So that was fun.
Okay.
What about you?
I ran my second classic marathon.
You ran your what?
My second.
Oh, your second. I thought you said
marathon. Yes.
You said 90-second. I'm like, I'm gonna have to hear how you did that. Were you in a plane, a fast moving plane?
Yeah, no, I was the Flash. No, so over the last month or so, I've been to the movie theaters a bunch. I ran my second, just traditional 26.2 mile marathon, not a half marathon, not an ultra marathon. That was fun. Going into it, I thought that maybe I had not prepared enough for it. Running it, at around mile 18, I really thought I had not prepared enough for it. At mile 10, I stopped briefly to help a guy who collapsed in front of me.
Oh, wow.
Yep. It was a little bit startling. This guy was maybe 10, 15 feet ahead of me, and I saw him all of a sudden. He was carrying a glass of water because we had passed an aid station, and he just kind of like stumbled, jerked around, threw the cup, and then fell down to his knees and then rolled over onto his back.
Oh, wow.
Turns out the guy was like 23 years old and
really
had a pacemaker. And apparently the pacemaker thought he was working a little too hard. So it's like,
shut him down.
Just shut him right down. And so that was a case where, once again, and I've talked about this on Friends with Brews with Scott, but I had my Apple Watch on me. I immediately called it up. Hey, Dingus, call 911. Immediately got a hold to a 911 operator, and within minutes the EMTs were there on site. So at the end of the race, I did meet with one of the owners of Millennium Running, the store that organizes that race. And we were just talking, and it was at the bar, right, like literally at the end of the trail at the race. There's a restaurant there, so lots of people were there. And so my friend that I ran the race with and I were having dinner, and I got up to settle the bill. I saw a couple of guys talking. They're like, "Oh, were you in the race today?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, how'd it go? And I was like, I said, I managed, officially my time was, I don't even remember now. I think it was 4:28 or something on paper. I said, but I'm giving myself, I think I'm shaving like 4 or 5 minutes off of that because I stopped to call 911. And the guy I was talking was like, "Wait, you're the guy? You called that in?" I was like, "Yeah, you heard about this." And then I noticed that they're all wearing Millennium Running shirts. And I was like, "Oh, you're the organizers." And they're like, "Yeah." And the guy was like, he's like, "Dude, you saved a life today. You're amazing." Blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know that I saved the life, but I definitely did the right thing. I'll take it. And he says, "Look, no, just send me your Strava. We can adjust your time. We'll take a look at that." And, so I sent him my Strava link. He texted me. He's like, "Peter, send me your Strava." So I sent him my link to my Strava time and my a screenshot showing me at that time making the 911 call, because in my call history on my phone, never heard back from him. so I was like, whatever. It wasn't about that. But internally, I beat my first marathon time by 10 minutes minus the stop. So I still took time off. So I was thinking about that, that whole time I was thinking I hadn't prepared enough. But the amount of preparation I did apparently was enough. Like only, I think one time while I was prepping, I ran a half marathon, one time I did 13 miles, which was unlike what, Carola, the gal that I ran it with, she was hardcore training. She was doing like, 17, 18, 20 miles long runs on the weekends. Like I had done training for my previous ones. I was training maybe half as much as her and came out to like her time. I think she came out to an average pace of 10 minutes, 8 seconds. And I came out to 10 minutes, 11 seconds.
Okay.
Come on. So maybe I trained the right amount,
Yeah.
Of course, there's always factors, right? There's lots of other factors that could be contributing, but who knows?
Yeah. I'm completely pontificating here. But there's some things I feel like physically, once you've done them and your body, you've set a pattern with it, I can bench press. I could take off for a bench press a year from now.
Yeah.
I would not be obviously as strong as I
Yeah.
was. But within a very, very short period of time, I could do the same weight that I was doing. As long as
the thing is, like, so as we haven't touched on this yet, but haven't been doing as many push-ups lately as I had. I go through phases. Like my shoulder will feel fine, I'll start doing them, and then like I don't sleep right one night and my shoulders sore for like 3 or 4 days. And I just don't know what's going on. I keep dragging my feet. I should just go see my physical therapist and get a diagnosis and get working on this again. But like this morning and yesterday, not doing push-ups, not doing, vinyasas for a while, just that first plank, first chaturanga, up dog, down dog transition was murder on my shoulders. But, and, in the morning, like my first set of push-ups, it's excruciating, but then if I do another set a few hours later, it's like nothing, so it's like, it's conditioning, they say like, starting friction is greater than friction in movement, or like once the object gets going, it's easier to keep it going. But
object in motion stays in motion. So we need to do something else to the account, because I am now, there's nothing wrong with me. There's no reason I can't do push-ups every day, but I'll honestly forget. It won't be that I'm slacking or like, oh, I just don't feel like it's like, no, it didn't occur to me. So I need to do push-ups, but you need to tell me what you're going to do even if it's sit-ups, but we need to get back on our ground game.
Well, I do have, I did buy a pull-up bar.
Okay.
So I do have that, and I have been doing that, not like as many. It's hanging in my bedroom on my second floor. So pretty much, not every time, but most times when I traverse from the third floor to the office down to the kitchen or back, or I just go down to use the bathroom, I usually just go and grab a couple of chin-ups, 2 or 3. Classic style, hands wide, dangling and stuff. I have not, I think I might have been able to pull myself up like once so far. So
Yeah.
I'm still just kind of hanging for starters there. I'm trying to get the form down, like, cause I was doing those, on an incline for a long time, but then I finally caved and got the real pull-up bar, which I like. But I guess I don't know, those don't hurt me, right? So I want to do those more. So I could, I could commit to doing those. I should also be doing at least a few. I think that I'm good to do at least like 10 push-ups a day. I don't think I have any excuse to not do those. So I think we should recommit.
Okay, let's do it.
I think we should recommit to the ground game, bro.
Ground game, bro. I think you should, my personal opinion is that you should be cautious with doing pull-ups every day. I don't think you should do pull-ups every day. I think at most 3 times per week, because it is a very straining thing. It's a stretch and a strain. And so I think you could injure yourself if you were doing that every day.
Okay. Now, again, the biggest set that I've done so far at once is like 5.
Yeah. It's
so probably not doing a lot, but I will look that up with Dr. GPT and see what it has to say.
See what the doctor says. I just know that, because we do a lot of pull-ups in CrossFit. And if we have weeks where sometimes the programming, we just have a lot of different types of pull-ups. So we'll have muscle ups, pull-ups, jumping pull-ups, burpee jumping pull-ups, strict pull-ups, they all end up being pull-ups. And if they all get like worked in, I'll start to feel a little bit of strain in my shoulder, and that I don't normally have. But I'm heavier than you by probably close to 100 pounds.
Yeah, but you're stronger than me too. Well, maybe you're heavier than me by about 95 pounds, because coincidentally, just about a week or so before the marathon, I started dosing creatine on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And creatine, that's what bodybuilders use to get bigger.
Right.
And essentially what it does is it just, it retains water. You've got more water weight, in your body, and some of that goes to the muscles, makes you bulk up. But there have been studies that show that it can also benefit runners and endurance training, and also that it can significantly help cognitive brain function and maybe stave off things like Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. So I was like, seems cheap enough. I'll try this. Visually, I definitely know it has an impact, because I am hovering at about 3% or 5 pounds heavier than I have been, which I thought was kind of funny, because here I am going into a marathon and I'm not losing weight. And in fact, I'm gaining weight. And I was like, what's going on? And then only just this past week did I realize, oh, right, this was expected. So I'm like, okay. I'm still fairly toned. I can see a little bit of it right around the belly. But my core and everything else is still pretty toned. So I'm not in despair. I'm just getting used to the fact that, I weigh in at around 165 again now rather than 160. So, all right. But ground game, bro, we will get to that. So I'm not going to put a number on it, but I will commit to doing push-ups and or pull-ups, on the daily basis. So I might even stagger it. Like if my shoulder's sore, I may not do push-ups that day, but I'll do some pull-ups, or at your suggestion, maybe I'll do pull-ups one day, push-ups the next, or something like that.
And you do sit-ups and crunches.
Crunches, sure. Or hold plank. Just hold plank for a minute or 30 seconds. Yep. So,
well,
all right.
So since we're talking a little bit about exercise, so my back has been sore for a long time, and I've been using yoga to get my hips looser, get more flexible, to help with that. Well, so for the planting period, I didn't do any workout. I didn't do any CrossFit. I just did yoga.
Yep.
And then while I was in Belize, I didn't do any CrossFit either. I just did yoga.
Yep.
And then came back and I wasn't real interested in being sore. So I just did yoga. And
I'm seeing a pattern here.
I'm seeing a pattern here. So right now, my back does not hurt at all. And my flexibility has gone way up, kind of obvious. It should. But it's interesting. I was doing I guess they call what do you call it? Shoe strap, or I don't know. It's where you shoelace, where you cross you've got one leg crossed over the other and you're kind of leaning forward over the hips and kind of pushing on the 3 weeks ago. It was so painful. My forward motion was about as much as I could move my head. And that's how, and I was even awkward, like not even like fully, I couldn't even get my body straight up over my legs. It was like this crooked, awkward thing. And now I'm doing it as prescribed. It's, I was like, I'm not giving up on this. I'm gonna keep working on it.
I have noticed that my flexibility, my mobility has definitely decreased some. And one thing I did differently after this marathon than I have on any of the others is I took a solid week off, completely no running. Completely zero, no running at all. And then I think I went to the yoga studio a couple times just for some, light stuff. And then I started to ease back into it. So I'm in the yoga studio now, like not teaching, but attending. I'm trying to take at least 3 classes a week again, and get back up to that. But I've noticed, like, today we did or yesterday we did Gomukhasana, which is the more the not yin version of shoelace. And it was rough for me. It's like, so I've definitely lost some mobility, some flexibility due to, a lot of running. There's only so many hours in the day, and a lot of my yoga time has been, superseded by running time. Which is not a bad thing, but it's given me something to work on. It's like, great, I've got something to work on again. I used to be able to do shoelace without props. Now I have to do it with props again. Oh, well, I'm fine.
Yeah. I have to use a prop. I got to sit on something or I won't be able to move forward at all.
Yeah. Yep. And but you know what? I'm okay with that. And that's the thing, is where, I thought, especially, I think it's nice if a yoga teacher can demonstrate the quote unquote full expression of the pose. But in yin, that's, we don't look at it that way, right? Everyone has their expression of the pose, and there are differences, and that's okay. So, yeah. So speaking of that, I will probably be signing up because I'm now outside my first 3 years, and I need to do more continuing education units to maintain my yoga certification. And my teachers, Josh and Terry Summers, just announced a new 20-hour Yin Yoga Qigong series, continuing educations thing. And so I'm probably going to sign up for that. That's going to get me 20 of my 30, continuing education hours. So I'm happy about that. I've been spending more time also maintaining my professional certifications. So like my CISSP. Probably going to be letting the SANS certifications taper off. If I come up with a good idea to write a research paper, I may do that. But I will probably, gonna kind of let that go, but maintaining the CISSP, because it's the one everyone's heard of, so I'll keep that active. But I've been attending vendor presentations and webinars just to, sort of check that box. And, but I was like, oh, okay, that's right. I got a yoga cert to maintain as well. Okay, fine. So I'm working on that. And
so I've got a professionally trained question for you in yoga. So what I typically do in the mornings, when I go to CrossFit. I do whatever stretching I feel like I need to do to be successful that day. You know, like
Yep.
if the workout's a specific thing, I start stretching the muscles associated with the coming exercise, as well as some things I do every day. Like I'll do a pigeon pose or a variation of pigeon every
Yep.
day just to get those hips going, and child's pose. I almost always do a child's pose, get my
Yep.
back and all that stuff up. But so for the 3 weeks that I mentioned earlier, I did the exact same routine that entire time.
Okay.
Varied with my other part of the day, I did the other things that I felt like I need. Do you think that there's any, obviously you wouldn't do that for your whole life, just one routine. But you think there's any problem with doing the exact same routine for a period of time?
So some people would say yes, there can be a problem. Others will say no, that's the way you should do it.
Okay.
For example, Bikram. Bikram and Ashtanga yoga classically were two prescribed routines, and they did
Okay.
not change.
Okay.
So the founders of those two schools, coincidentally also repeated sexual offenders, would tell you that you should do just their routine over and
Okay.
over. Others would say, though, that there is a risk of a repetitive strain injury by doing the
Mm-hmm.
same thing always. So even when I do things like when I do a vinyasa, when I go through chaturanga, up dog, down dog, sometimes I will, when you're in up dog, your toes are pointed back. And then when
Mm-hmm.
you press back to down dog, you roll over the toes and, you plant the balls of the feet. Most of the time when I do that, I will do one foot and then the other.
Mm-hmm.
When I step forward, sometimes I will hop forward both feet, when I hop forward to a forward fold.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I will hop forward. 90% of the time, if I don't think about it, I will go forward with my left leg just because of my hip rotation. It's easier
Mm-hmm.
to bring my left foot up. So I consciously try to vary those. So I
Mm-hmm.
will consciously try to make sure that sometimes I'm stepping the right foot up first or the right foot back first, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm rolling over the right foot before I roll over the left.
Mm-hmm.
So there definitely is a risk, repetitive strain injuries are a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's good just to have a little bit of variation. But, that said, is it bad to do this, those poses every day? I would be hard pressed to say yes. I wouldn't see a problem, but I would say you probably want to be doing more than just those things every day.
Yes.
Right. So as a not at all doctor and not a physical therapist or anything like that, I would say it's probably okay to do those. I don't think that's really a bad thing.
Cool. Yeah. You have 50 years experience walking around in that body.
Yes, exactly.
Not a doctor, but
Not a doctor. I know my body, I think those are fine, right? But I would,
yeah.
again, I would change it up a little bit.
Yeah, I do the same, like you mentioned in exercises, like we box step up is a scaling instead of a box jump up. I
Okay.
alternate back and forth. I step with my right, I step down. I step up with my left,
Yes.
I step down. Oh,
Yep.
because you could technically do them just one leg.
Right. Well, that's the difference. Like my physical therapy, you can't really see this, but let me turn off. Show you here. I can turn off my video or my background. My PT, I have my box.
Yeah. There you go.
You see it's various sizes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the 18-inch bench, which I can use as a step as well.
Right.
Got a kettlebell hiding here.
Uh-huh.
There's another kettlebell under this because it's hollow.
Uh-huh.
So I have another kettlebell in there. But when I'm doing my PT exercises, it's prescribed. It's left leg first, do so many, right leg, do so many.
Yeah.
So, it's because you want to make sure you're doing those. But yeah,
Mhm.
I would definitely, if you're doing box step ups and stuff, absolutely be rotating, be alternating side to side. You definitely
Mhm.
don't want to do the same one all the time.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
We're in agreement.
Good for us. Variety is the spice of life, they say, and a way to not injure yourself.
Hmm. So do you have a Notion?
I do. I've got a Notion. I am experimenting with Notion as a possible replacement for Evernote.
Oh, okay.
I have been on Evernote now since I think 2007. I forget when
Hmm.
my very first note was created. I've the app itself has been relatively stagnant for years. And it's just like I've had a number of complaints with the user interface. And so I'm just trying to, figure out like exactly what I want to do with it. But I've been hearing nothing but good things about Notion.
Hmm.
But I did notice like one thing that it doesn't do is it doesn't it's got a lot of features that Evernote lacks. But one thing that Evernote can do that Notion does not do is search, do text recognition against scans and OCR against PDFs.
Evernote, which one did you say couldn't do that?
Evernote does.
Oh, okay.
If you have a paid version, Evernote will. Notion will not. Sorry, I'm trying to
Okay.
adjust my camera here. It's a little offside. So that I'm trying to think, there definitely have been times when I've been searching for a keyword and a PDF file pops up and I was like, oh, there's that.
Hmm.
What Notion does have though is a ton of third-party add-ons and
Hmm.
open source, like someone apparently wrote a GitHub, or like a Python script to
Hmm.
enable searching within an attachment.
Okay.
Notion doesn't do that. The other thing is it has no capability to do handwriting on the iPad app, which
Ah.
Evernote does. That said, I never use it because the Apple Notes handwriting is so superior. I
Hmm.
hate the way Evernote does it. It's just another thing I don't like about Evernote.
Yeah.
So again, now I've looked and I did find looks like a Python script that someone wrote to import your Apple Notes into Notion.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking is that Apple Notes may just be my input and that the permanent repository is Notion, for instance.
Hmm.
So it's just something I'm playing with. Again, this will be an evolution. Of course, I just renewed my Evernote professional subscription for another year, about 3 months ago. So I've got
Hmm.
some time to make it, but I was like, okay, this time I should start now, start looking ahead.
Hmm.
One thing that's really nice is that Notion will import. It's cloud native. So you want to import from Evernote, there's a button, just click it, right?
Yeah.
It's so much easier than when I tried briefly to switch from Evernote to OneNote.
Hmm.
It's just easy. It's not a hack. And Notion will import from all kinds. It'll import from like Slack. You can pull your Slack messages in and archive them into Notion.
Hmm.
It does similar integrations with third parties like IFT and
Hmm.
others, so it doesn't seem like there's anything really stopping me, but I realized that searching, the OCR search within attachments was something that might keep me on Evernote unless that add-on will do that for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I still do all of my notes either in Google or in the Apple Notes because my
Yep.
phone's with me at all time. It's so easy to put notes in there.
Yep.
But I like the Google because every device I can search. I mean, it doesn't matter what
Yep.
my device is, and it'll just go. I mean, you have the same thing with your app, but
Yep. Yeah,
I just
exactly.
like Google.
Yeah, I mean it works. And that's the thing though. It's like, geez, Apple, they get everything there, but they do a good job, connecting, hooking you to their devices. You can't leave,
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'm stuck on it. Great. Okay, whatever. So,
Hmm.
but which is, 90% of the time it's fine. I have a Windows laptop now for the hospital here on my desk, but my personal / paradigm Windows laptop is sitting over on a shelf unplugged. So I don't, I realized I was using it so infrequently. The only thing I was doing with it was every now and then I would fire it up just to keep it updated. And then I would get distracted like, oh, I need to download this for, I need to put Python on this Windows machine for that next time and I was just like, this is a waste of time, so I just put it off to the side and, I don't even touch it right now. So just don't even need it.
Very cool.
All right. What else? What else is going on?
So I did buy my MacBook Pro 14-inch.
Talk to me.
It is super powerful. It's fast. It's faster than my 2019 MacBook Pro, obviously. But I mean, that it was top of the line then. So it's
Right.
like, being 10 or 20% faster. So it's not terribly faster, but it is. Yeah.
Is this the one that Scott recommended you get, or the one that he
Yes.
recommended you don't get?
He was the one he recommended.
Okay, so it's got the newer guts and stuff. It's not just an old thing with a new chip in it or something.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I got the new M2 chip.
Okay, yeah, same as mine. M2 or Pro?
Oh,
I've got the M2 in my MacBook Air.
I have the M2 Max.
M2 Max. Okay, I do not have that. I have just the M2. So good. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So it is fast, it's powerful. I mean, it just does what I tell it to do every time I tell it to do it. My only
like any good computer should.
Yeah. So they went back with the old magnet power cord.
MagSafe adapter, yes.
Yeah.
Those are nice.
And it actually, the magnet is so strong. I almost feel like I'm almost like afraid that when I'm pulling it, I'm going to eventually pull the cord off. I always make sure to grab a good hold of the actual like square. Don't use the cord because you'll rip that thing off.
When I do it, I just grab it and like tip it, like I break the seal kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. It does have the HDMI native to it. It is bigger than I thought it would be. Like it's slightly taller than I thought it would be.
Thicker.
It's thicker. I was expecting it to be the same thickness as my existing MacBook Pro, but it's actually slightly thicker, which we're talking about a quarter of an inch thicker. It's not a whole lot thicker. It's not a whole lot lighter. It is slightly lighter. It does have a smaller footprint. It's better for travel. The docking station, my only bummer on the docking station, and this was ready, fire, aim kind of thing for me. I bought the dock.
Which one did you get?
I'll have to look it up. It's the one that Scott has.
Okay.
But he said there's the one that you could get, and then there's the one that's a step up, and I got the step up just because I knew I'd keep the thing. The only thing that I have to do is I want to switch to 4K monitors because I'm still on my ViewSonic, the 1080p or 1080 whatever, and I have to get active dongles. I don't have active dongles, so when I plug up to the lightning port, my monitors don't come on. So right now I'm plugged up to the lightning port on the laptop and the HDMI port on the laptop, and I just haven't had time because I want to buy 4K monitors, make it a little bit sharper, and then make sure I get the right dongles with it. But overall, I like it. It's fast. I didn't take it to Belize with me because I was like, I got a brand new $3,000 computer. I don't want to take it out of the country. So I took my old crappy Dell XPS that's 6 years old, and it did, I was like, well, if it gets wet or it gets stolen or whatever, I don't care, but I sure don't want to lose my brand new laptop. My brand new travel laptop.
So I'm curious though, because I was looking at recently at getting a docking station for myself. Because what I'm doing now is my laptop is just plugged in via the USB-C cable, but it's connecting to an old USB hub, which has 1, 2, three, four, five peripherals plugged into it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so counting, and it also goes through my, my Ethernet goes to that, and my monitor goes through it, and it works pretty well. You know, I like this situation. But I bought recently a 90-degree USB-C adapter so
Mm-hmm.
that I wouldn't have this USB cable coming out of my MacBook, right?
Yeah.
And when I plug it in, it doesn't work. It works, but the peripherals in the USB, the old USB-A plug, that does not work. So I plug it in, I can see my display that works through it, but that other hub doesn't. And I
Huh.
was like, oh, that's it. Oh,
Oh.
it's boring. And, you know, because I felt badly for, you know, like all this crap that just goes back sitting into a landfill, I didn't return this, you know, this cable. It's $10. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But I did buy a second one thinking it was a bad cable and got the same exact results.
Mm.
So I now have two 6-inch USB-C cable extenders. So
Yeah. I'm looking to find the dock so I can tell you what I got, but it's man, I can't find it. I know I bought it because I have it. All right. Yeah. I'll look it up and find it and send it to you. Um, but yeah, it's got so it's got the USB-A, and then it has the three lightning ports on it, and it's powered. So I've got my my NVMe. So I for my backup drive, I put a NVMe 2 terabyte into a little USB, and it works great. You know, my backups are
yep.
fast and silent. I want silent. I want no moving parts.
Yes.
So
I
yeah.
have a, you know, like a 2 terabyte drive sitting here on my desk, but it's formatted as NTFS. And I had forgotten that Macs can't natively read that without third-party apps, you know, third-party an add-on like a Fuse extension or something. And I was like, wait, what? I can't what? I totally forgotten that. I thought they could write, you know, they can read it. I can read it just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to archive some stuff because I have a SharePoint site, you know, with my my OneDrive and my Office 365 account, and I just use that as my giant archiving thing. Well, I just got recently a note saying your SharePoint site is out of space.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, you know, there's some stuff that I don't need to keep up there, but I do want to keep it somewhere, you know, just for easy access. And so I'll just throw it on this drive over here, plug the drive into my laptop, can't read it. I mean, can't write to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Isn't the common one that EXT? They'll do that one across Windows and Mac.
FAT32.
FAT32.
Yeah.
Yeah.
FAT32, but it lacks the same permissions structure and the security that NTFS has.
Yeah.
Not that I really care, you know,
Mhm.
it's a drive sitting here and that, you know, there's nothing locking it down or anything like that. So
Mhm.
doesn't really matter in this case. It's got slightly, it supports larger files and stuff too. I don't even know where FAT32 is right now compared to NTFS as far as like file sizes, maximum number of files, etc. I
Yeah.
used to pay attention to that stuff and I don't right now.
Yeah. I don't do I don't spend a lot of time creating great big old files. They're all
Yep.
so well. And then the other thing that I got, you know, in my Mac world, is I got the AirPods Pro 2, the latest ones.
Oh,
And I've never owned AirPods because
yep.
stupid things are so expensive. And so I got them, and I was because what I wanted is I need something to be able to when I've got my trucker headset, which I love, but I
Yep.
need to be able to make phone calls. And when I travel, I can't carry that trucker headset. It's not convenient. Where the AirPods fit in a little tiny case, fit in your pocket, backpack, wherever. And if I have
Yep.
them, I need them. And I was like, well, if they don't stay in my ears perfectly like the previous ones, it's fine as long as I can talk on the phone without taking my big old headset.
Yep.
And it does that fine. They do that really well. The thing that was and maybe they've all done it. The thing that is the really cool part is the silencer. Like you put them in and the sound deadening, and you put it in your ears and you hear noise, and then all of a sudden it fades into nothing. I hear nothing.
Hmm. See, I was wondering about that because you may recall, I did have the second generation AirPods Pro for a while when I was troubleshooting stuff. And you may have seen in the signal chat, the podcast signal chat. But all of the weird, blurry, garbled transformer problems that I was having with the AirPods was indeed caused by the Alexa app. When I disabled its access to Bluetooth and GPS geolocation, the problems went away. Now, I still have the other stupid Apple Bluetooth problems. Apple still can't get its head out of its own butt when it comes to, like connectivity problems. Like I'll answer a call by clicking the AirPods and it'll transfer it to the handset, and just stupid stuff like that. Like I'll be sitting here wanting to pick up the phone and telling it, all right, connect to the phone, and it connects to the iPad. And like, why? Like I say, hey, Dingus, call so-and-so. It starts making the call, and I put the AirPods in and it connects to a different device. Yeah. So just, dumb stuff like that. Still, that's not going away. But that said, my AirPods Pros have been very stable and reliable lately. You may recall, like there was a time last year when like they weren't charging anymore, and it just fixed. And then suddenly it's fixed and it's working okay again. And it has been, knock on wood, for a while. So I'm considering maybe this Black Friday I'll upgrade again, but for right now I've got the AirPods Pro, and knock on wood, they're still working okay.
So the things that I do like about them is part of the problems of what you listed, which can also be problematic. I think that my phone takes precedent over all the other devices.
Yep.
So my Mac, my iPad, and my watch.
Yep.
If I just press the button, it's going to default to my phone.
So why don't we fix this right now? Let's go into our Bluetooth settings. And I'm going to do this on my iPad and my iPhone and my on my Mac, the three devices that I have my AirPods connected to. I'm going to click on Bluetooth on all of those, or tap on it, and I'm going to click on the AirPods Pro. And let's see. So under Peter's AirPods Pro, connect to this iPhone, or Peter's AirPods Pro connects to this
automatically when last connect. I'm with you. Oh, that's good to know.
Yes.
That's podcast gold right there.
I hope you like. This is the kind of thing that that listener and friend of the show, Scott Wilsey, would normally be private messaging me later saying, can't believe you guys don't know this. You should have told us this. Well, Scott, we did. Are you happy now? So yeah, when last connected, I believe, is the best option, because automatically is essentially wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because like yesterday, I mean, perfect example. I was listening to Pandora on my phone, and then I went away and I was listening to my audiobook on my watch. And then I just was near my phone again, and I wanted to click my earbud and it just go back into my phone, and nope, it goes back to, or goes my watch, it goes back to my phone and starts playing music again. I'm like,
yep.
Okay, good to know.
Okay.
But so that one's fantastic. Thanks, Peter.
You're welcome. Yeah, I am looking at, in the AirPods 2, the second gen. I didn't really have a chance to I didn't try them very long because, again, I was so frustrated with the audio problems that, I didn't want to invest $300 to fix a problem that wasn't going to fix the problem.
Yeah.
That said, I have been recently not satisfied with the AirPods noise canceling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sometimes when I'll go out for a run and I'm running, through town and a fire truck or an ambulance goes by and they crank the siren. Even when I have noise canceling on, I don't even notice. It just blasts right through that, for
Mm-hmm.
example. And I know they added some, noise canceling features with the AirPods Pro 2. So I'll probably get something like that, and then of course with my luck, they'll, release the AirPods Pro 3 like six hours later or something.
6 hours. Yeah, the very next day.
Exactly. So, well, that's what the Mac Rumors buyer's guide is good for.
Mm-hmm. So there is a interesting phenomenon though, like when you put it in your ears, and then if you've got it set to where it noise cancels, I think it is, and I just haven't had time to do the research to see, but it feels like it's physically vacuuming in just a little bit. They feel like they go a little bit tighter into your ears. Like I don't know if there's a flapper that moves, it causes a valve, but when the noise canceling goes in, it feels like they pull in just a little bit tighter.
Mhm.
And it's also interesting. I don't hear anything. Yeah, I've got a little bit of tinnitus in my ear. So
Okay.
when I'm in when I'm in absolute silence, nothing, I hear a ringing. Well,
Yep.
I don't hear a ringing when
Right.
those are in my ear.
Yep. It silences that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting though, because I don't know how tinnitus or tinnitus, I don't know how that works.
Because I thought it was,
But it's
yeah.
got to be, if the canceling is doing it, then that means it has to be a reaction. Your ear has to be responding to something. It's
Mm-hmm,
got to be hearing something
mm-hmm,
to to respond to that. So
yeah.
that's
I
interesting.
bet I bet Google would tell me if I bothered to look it up.
Yeah, Chat GPT might also. So
Yeah, ChatGPT. I
all
was
right.
thinking, so we're quick. Well, we're almost out of time all the way, but I was thinking about Chat GPT. You know, it would be very easy, and I imagine they probably already done it, is a Chat GPT girlfriend. You just
Oh,
talk, it
people are
tells you.
doing companions like that. Oh yeah, that they're doing that. They're doing therapists and all kinds of stuff. Just wait.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. I've been surprised, I've been getting a lot of spam on my phone. They'll be
Yep.
like, hey, they'll say, "Hey, John," not even like my right name, but
Yes.
"Hey, John, are you coming over for dinner, or what, are you free this weekend?" And I've replied back to them, like toss something back just to see if it's AI, to see if it's gonna do anything back. But it's
Yep.
actually, at least all the ones that have contacted me have been real people. And I mean, I wait for a response and then I block.
So those very well could be pig butchering scams.
Pig butchering scams.
Yes. So not just spam, but those could very well be um someone luring you, trying to see, because what happens is they lure you in with something like that. You'll go back, oh, this isn't John, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I must have the wrong number, haha, it's funny when that happens, blah blah blah. And they use that, just you should know, in marketing, it's just a hook,
Hmm.
it's just a way to get you talking.
Hmm.
And then from there, eventually it's like, dot dot dot, do you want to invest in crypto? And it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and these can be, evolve into romance scams and all kinds of stuff like that. So the best advice is just block the number, report it as a scam, and forget you ever had it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I usually do. I get, I don't know, 3 or 4 a week, and they just
Mhm.
immediately report junk. I hate that. Well, and maybe you can. It's like if you look at something and if you do anything with it, you can no
something's
longer do the report junk.
something's playing music. I have a oh, I was looking up the AirPods Pro and an ad started playing for it. Thanks a lot.
But yeah, you can't respond to any of that stuff or anything and then report it as junk. You can only report it as junk the first time it comes in.
Really?
Yeah, thought that was interesting.
Now what method do you use to report it as junk?
There's so like a text comes into me and I
Yep.
don't know the number. Right
Yep.
underneath of it, it says report junk, and it blocks it and deletes it all in one
Okay.
step.
Okay.
If you answer it in any way, then I've got a blocked content, and I just add that phone number to the blocked content rather than having 1,000 different phone numbers in my phone.
Okay.
And I just block all the contact.
So you can always, in addition to that, you could forward a text message to 7726.
7726.
Yes.
What is that?
That is spam. If you have an old T9 dial pad, 7726 is spam, and whichever, I believe it's a standard across carriers. I know Verizon and AT&T both supported that. So you can do that, and it'll mark it at the carrier. It's basically submitting a spam request. It doesn't block it outright, but it and then you can block the number. So you can do your own report that way. And then manually you can add the contact, but it is a pain to do that. You have to add it as a, get into the info, call up the contact sheet, block that number, but it can be done. So yeah, even if that report junk thing goes away.
Cool. See, there's some more gold.
Learn something else. Wow, this is a good one. We should quit while we're ahead.
All right. Well, I think it's about that time then.
I think it is about that time. So, dear listener, if you want to find us, incidentally, the AirPod Pros are now on sale again. They're 20% off, $199. Second generation, which I think is the lowest price I've seen. Like, I think that's pretty much what the Black Friday prices were like. So if you're interested in it, you could get that.
Yeah, I even had mine labeled.
Oh, labeled, engraved?
Engraved.
Oh, that kills your resale value, man.
I don't resell anything anyway.
No, that's true. Sometimes I'll trade in, but apparently mine would be worth like $5 right now. So there's no way I'm parting with them for that. But anyway, if you want to find us, you can find us at blurringthelinespodcast.com. You can find Adam at sublimecomp.com and rrlavenderfarm.com. You can find him on Twitter at sublimecomp. And you can find me at pn72.com. And from there, you can find links to all my other presences. So that's how you find me. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. And with that, let's push the big red laser powered button.
Big red laser.